is that Lee Sin, Elise, and Zac are the top 3 junglers, and very frequently we've had them banned. It's why we see so many games of champions like Graves, and they will ban Syndra. They're still showing respect, and it is the same bans for SKT on blue and red side, which lets them know that even though the early game went completely against them, they're not looking to change anything, except 2 of their members.
Yeah. So MVP, they want to keep things consistent as well. Take away the Lee Sin with the final pick, or the final ban. And it's actually going to be the Lucian.
Wouldn't have been as much of a flex solution. The triple flex is gone. Could have just been the double flex, although Antara has played it in solo queue, I believe, on one of his accounts. He has so many. It's kind of insane how many accounts he has, Master and higher. And they'll just first pick Tahm Kench. This feels like SKT trying to force a new meta. They basically say, well, we don't want to play Thresh. Tahm Kench is good against Thresh, so whatever you got, we're fine. And they got kind of the worst possible in the Brand, who kind of slams Tahm Kench in every way apart from utility. And it didn't matter much in game 1 as the bot lane was really not that much of a factor. MVP could have taken the Gragas, but take Graves over it. Now, you can't argue with how the early game went for Beyond, but
Come on.
will we see SKT play Nidalee and it not be Peanut? That's a possibility.
Be surprising. Now holding off on it, the Ashe coming through for Bang, and now Faker is really just playing with my emotions with the Akali hover, but all right, not really showing their hand yet. Just the bottom lane locked in. Gragas comes through. Could be for Blank, could be for Antara.
Well, start of week 3, and we've actually closing in on 50% of all champions in League being played. I think the number's around 65 at the moment in Korea, so we've certainly had our share of spoils that we can't be upset when the hovers come in and aren't locked in for now, at least, as MVP had Bard banned against them as one of the champions did very well against Tahm Kench. And this time it'll be taken earlier in the draft, so the bot lane and jungle taken, so very clearly going to be a blind pick solo lane and a last pick solo lane on the side of MVP. That means that SKT might just ban away the Orianna that, sure, Ian didn't have great results on in game 1, but that has been his blind pick mid laner when Syndra has not been available.
For now, Renekton taken off the board. So MVP focusing out Antara a bit.
Yeah, could be top lane Gragas, but we've seen so much more jungle Gragas that the respect is there for Blank to be on a prototypical pathing jungler like the Gragas. Ian's other blind pick mid laner was Karma, so that's why we see the Karma ban come in. Karma can take teleport, go bot lane, while Kate and Bard can wave clear in mid and Bard can roam, so just respect for the potential blind pick mid laners. We're really running out of them as MVP actually opted into banning them themselves. Maybe they'll just take a top laner and look for the counter pick on Faker with their first pick on red side.
Ban away the Talia. What's the final here from SKT?
Orianna still is the most obvious ban to come in, but SKT did not feel pressured to change anything in their draft, in their bans so far in the draft, so might just be happy to leave it over to Ian. And they'll ban away the Scion, so very interesting. I guess when they saw Talia, they might have kind of changed their tune and said, okay, maybe it's more likely for a top lane blind pick into a last pick mid lane counter pick, and thus the Orianna's in a different spot. Ori would be fantastic on the side of SKT.
I mean, you do mention, the blind pick for Karma being there for Ian, but I wonder, the LeBlanc is available this time around, and we know that Faker likes to play the Karma into the LeBlanc. Do we see it come out from him? Has been playing it a lot in solo queue, or does he just go for the Orianna here himself?
Ori really fits the comp super, super well, but it does depend on what top lane is going to be. If it's going to be something like the Fiora, then the wave clear of Orianna might be strong, even if the 5v5 isn't quite the same texture as a standard Orianna comp. Antara's played a lot of Fiora in solo queue, and it actually was a legacy pick for him on CJ Entis, so we get to see him play Fiora on a far stronger team. 3 and 5 historically on the Fiora, but SKT will be able to provide coverage for him in a very different way. Where will Faker go? Because when in doubt, Orianna has been his way. Solo queue, we said, was LeBlanc Lucian. This could be the return of his LeBlanc for the first time in a while in competitive play.
Seems like it, but actually no, they will flip at their last second over to the Cassiopeia. So just going to go back to more consistent comfort here for Faker. Unfortunately, won't be seeing that LeBlanc.
Hasn't played it since summer season of last year. It's been a very long time since he played LeBlanc. Actually, I tell a lie. Played it once during the spring season, but again, very, very long time ago. Heavily deprioritized. for him compared to his early days, and the Orianna fit the comp. They decide to take the Jarvan and then just wait and see. Orianna does very well into Cassiopeia after the early levels, so while it is a count big of sorts, it is Faker, and he definitely knows how the matchup works. So, sort of matchup where you can go really well as Cassiopeia, but the wave clear when you get 5 points into your queue makes Orianna usually pretty comfortable into the matchup against Cassia.
That's when you find out that they're actually flipping the Fiora into mid lane. It's top Cass again for SKT.
That's painful laning into Orianna.
Probably wouldn't be fun.
Any sort of matchup where if you had mastery of Orianna, you would smash a Fiora, but in solo queue, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. If you don't get every auto attack in, then certainly potentially get bursted down, but as far as we know, it's going to be standard, and yep, it will be. So, Untara on Fiora. We've seen him play Rumble. Every SKT top laner in their contracts pledges to be a great Rumble player. The next champions are interesting, so seeing him on Fiora is going to be a bit of a learning experience. It's a different type of comp for SKT, unless they can just run over the early game and make the comp irrelevant.
I mean, ADD played very well early on with that J4, has the synergy back yet again with the Graves from beyond out of the jungle. So maybe they can just have another repeat performance in the top lane, just against a different enemy this time around. Blank on the Gragas, not going to be able to be as aggressive as we saw him against Everate with that Lee Sin.
And just having Untara and Blank, we expect SKT to tighten up and have a tighter ship in Game 1.
All right, well, undefeated for Blank. Let's see if he can maintain that and close out this series, or if MVP fires back.
I heard your energy drink.
All right, well, I might as well just finish it then. There we go. I was trying to be all sneaky about it. But
You were not very sneaky. That was an elephant trying to be sneaky. Whoa, Baron Nashor.
He's like consumed them all, and now they're in his eyes.
Is this prophetic? Will we see SKT be Penta executed to the Baron? That's what it's suggesting.
I mean, perhaps.
They did not have a Baron pet. Baron owned SKT in that particular artwork. The what if surreal.
Yep. Like, what if MVP was good?
Rift Rivals, it's not that far away, Achilles. Again, schedule has been against MVP. They beat Jin Air in their first series. They lost against Everate, by far the most stark, but since then, they've gone down 7 games in a row. Sorry, 5 games in a row, but those 5 games are Samsung, KT, and SKT.
I'm being unfair for sure.
So they could very well be 0-8, but only really the Everate loss sticks out as a, well, they should have done better. Since they've joined, it was in the graphic pre-match. I did my research on it as well. It is now 9-0 for SKT over MVP. So even when MVP was flying at 4th spot in the spring season, this was never a matchup they looked at expecting much.
Oh, Faker pushing his way in.
Wanted a ward onto the red buff. That gives a bit of coverage for Untara, so already more than Huni got in Game 1.
Set up to succeed, and Ian is... Well, he's experiencing true pain.
We call it the Maple.
I mean, we saw what Faker did to Septed in Game 2 as well.
I mean, Blank ganked him at level 1.
Yeah. But after that, it was still...
Oh, sure.
Brutal. But yes, Maple was definitely the stompiest mid lane that I've
We
seen
saw
in a
someone
while.
go through all their corrupted potion charges and teleport back with 0 CS. Like, that was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime against a top 5 mid laner in the world in the past 3 years. Like, we're talking about a super mid laner in Maple.
Well, rough times overall for those who face Faker.
That's why you go to NA. You might make it to Worlds, and you avoid fate.
Just get tilted out of there. Well, Beyond, walking into the jungle. There's an award. Keeps his backside safe as he looks for those Krugs. Blank, going down that way, opting to rotate up towards that top side of the map.
And Beyond adapting, so because he was warded at his red buff, he's not pathing around top lane anymore. He's pathing around bot lane, so he's trying to keep the high-octane style he had in Game 1 active. Will at least counter jungle Krugs, but the lane's not in a great spot for a gank, and would require Cosmic Binding to be very creative for Max, so won't actually path there, but still, some nice pathing means you'll get access to extra camps that Peanut probably will not.
Oh, just going to be slow and steady as she goes. Ian keeping up pretty nicely there in CS in the mid lane. So, all's well for MVP at the moment. It's that slight little dip in the top side of the map is pretty much the only blemish, as ADD is just slightly behind.
Beyond's pathing, showing in mid lane. Going to help push if Faker fished for an all-in. Top lane, so Yuntara is running the Fervor, which has been pretty common on Fioras, and Grasp there for ADD. Itemization is going to be fun to track. Usually it seems like the best value is gotten from just going damage as ADD. On the Jarvan, it feels like the people that try to rush tank, go for a nerfed Sunfire, maybe a Ninja Tabi rush, but actually getting an item, a tank item lead doesn't really help a matchup that can definitely be Fiora favored if she hits her items on the correct timings.
Ward over the wall, not quite going to spot Beyond. He was sitting in the brush. Kind of guess around where he was that perhaps he had gone back to base. So, decent amount of information gathering here for the side of SKT, just keeping everybody safe at the moment.
It's been eerily standard compared to Game 1, where at this point MVP already had targeted down Huni twice. We expect there to be pretty evolving pressure around Untara as Fiora with ward coverage once she hits at least a Tiamat, but more hopefully a Tiamat and Phage, and start to do Fiora things. We've all felt it in solo queue. ADD has time to leave lane and just get the vision of the ward in the brush, so no opportunity cost there. Given where the wave was, it would have been very risky for him to try wave clearing. So no team effort around the Fiora just yet, but no real impetus to before the buys come in.
Yeah, Beyond is wrapping around, not going to find anything. Goes back to base yet again, perhaps. So he stopped up, sitting in the brush for the moment.
Zoning portal, you would call that one. Threatening that the jungler is on the bot side. It's pretty cute from the side of MVP because when you see that portal, your initial thought is either Graves is coming or Graves is bot side and chose not to take the portal, but actually Graves was top side. Bit of gamesmanship from Max, nice to see.
I think Beyond was really waiting to see if Blank was coming back into that side, just now exiting. Spent a lot of time sitting in that blue buff brush. Cosmic Fighting comes through, locking up Wolf. It's a little bit of damage in the exchange.
It's a little bit concerning that ADD doesn't have a CS advantage over Fiora. It's not a trivial thing, and it's not like it's a counter matchup, but the best phase of the matchup is before ADD can be heavily harassed for using his Q. When you use your Q in early laning phase, you're not expecting Fiora to go run Rambo with an all-in, but you give her a couple of items and she realizes that your EQ is down, and then she'll just have an all-in window where you don't have an escape other than flash.
Even if you do have the EQ, as soon as you see that banner drop, just pop to a post and keep yourself safe.
It's one of those things where it's all about tools. If he's winning harass wars without having to use EQ, then he can always exit if the jungler comes. But if he's using Q to either wave clear or poke, things can go worse, and that just, the mind game there is always interesting. It just doesn't exist when there's no items. So AD doesn't have pressure right now. It's being pushed in, which, how the matchup may develop might be concerning for MVP. For now, super standard. Plenty of time to ready a popcorn. We still have plenty of time for some Baron steals. I know everyone thought there'd be Thrill a minute after game 1, but a little bit quieter here.
Yep, not going to be replicating the events of that
the sequels often don't.
Yeah, unfortunate. Well, just slow and steady, looking for some vision here.
What would you say is the greatest movie sequel of all time?
Empire Strikes Back?
It's a very easy answer.
Godfather, maybe?
I feel like those are the two, like, obvious answers.
Yeah, those are definitely the big ones. Outside of that, I don't know. I might have to do some...
Do you have any, like, Achilleos' thoughts? I know you're a big movie buff, so I thought you might have a more obscure one. Toy Story 2? Some people really like that one. I was more of a Toy Story 1 fan, personally.
I think I'd give it the 1, 2, 3 in that order for.
Really? I'm personally a 1, 3, 2. I'm not a big fan of Toy Story.
Huh. I don't know. I like that one a lot.
A lot of people do. I'm sure there are people that feel very strongly about this, but just one man's opinion.
That one has the nostalgia factor for sure for me.
The third one has the heartstrings.
Yes. Oh God.
Boy. No spoilers for Toy Story 3.
That one just makes you want to cry.
In the way intended.
Yeah. I mean, they're all great. So it's hard to put them in order because it's like, well, they're all so good, but I guess this.
Here's a good one. What's the second best Disney animated movie sequel? The Toy Story 2 probably consensus the best. There hasn't been that many. You know, Cars 2 obviously is not going to see too much.
Definitely not Cars. I don't know. Actually, I was going to go wide. Flank, body slamming forward. Those at the cast. Flash away from Maha. Keeps himself safe.
Probably spotted on some vision. There's wards on the Krugs and also. I didn't quite catch that, so could be wrong on that. But they seem to at least smell a rat in the bot lane.
I'm trying to think. I honestly.
How many direct-to-video movies did you watch? I was actually a pretty big fan of the second Aladdin movie.
Oh yeah, was it like Jafar's Revenge?
Yeah, Revenge of Jafar. Not bad, you know? For a straight-to-video Disney animated movie, not bad.
I don't remember that one too much. What about Adventurous?
I actually haven't seen that.
I believe there was.
Are you sure there was a sequel?
I think there was. Wasn't there? I think there was 2 of those.
This game has been glacial pace compared to Game 1, Farm, Farm, Farm. If you ask me who that favors...
Or Rescuers, not Adventurers. Whoops.
I haven't seen the Rescuers either, so...
It's been a while, but maybe there was just one. I don't really recall.
Here's the all-in from Montara. Pops the ultimate, but EQ was still up from ADD, so that mind game we were speaking about still exists. Feels like this game will be largely decided by the mid-game. If SKT can set up around Untara, if he gets a solo kill on Jarvan, then any potential teamfight weaknesses compared to MVPs will go away. And even then, both teams are pretty stacked for teamfight outside of Untara being prototypically better in the split push. So it can be really fun to track this game as it develops, but for so far has just been very much incremental building blocks by both teams.
All right, so there was an original back in 1977, and then Rescuers Down Under came out in 90. That's going to be
Faker's
Tempered
caught.
Fate onto Faker. Ball comes through, flashes away, Shockwave, just not fast enough. Didn't time it with the end of the Tempered Fate, so Faker gets out alive.
Yeah, trade of cooldowns is still not bad from the side of MVP, so in that scenario, it's something, which given how passive the early game means, it's only a flash down on Maha and Faker at this point in the game. Even the turrets are very, very healthy. Map's starting to be divided up. So what happened here is that Maha recalled, got 2 AD items, and opted into top side because they want to take Rift Herald. His AD is kind of caught in no man's land.
Throws down that Cataclysm. And he's going to be taking quite a bit of damage, tanking up here from Wolf, and First Blood gets handed over to Bang.
Seemed unnecessary, given how many members were there. They've got a big lead on a minimum Achilleos, and Fiora's going to be assisted by Cassiopeia in the wave clear wars.
Yeah, Max and Ian down to the bottom side. Tara and Faker about to be up top. So just going to be a trade of damage on the turrets, but First Blood, yeah, kind of gifted over to Bang by ADD.
So MVP initiated the lane swap because they wanted to get Rift Herald, because Rift Herald's super strong against Cassiopeia. They actually have a team that's resilient against Rift Herald, because we've already seen the interaction between Tempered Fate and the charge attack from the Rift Herald. But the only reason you make that swap is if you want to go with double AD. You know you're against double AD items, which I mean is the BF Sword and Pickaxe onto the Caitlyn. You know you're down a flash in the bot lane, so you have a disadvantage in the 2v2. You don't want to deal with Ash Arrow all-ins, and you want to make a proactive play to get the Herald, which is very high value against single target wave clear from mid lane, Fiora in the top lane. You get a lot of options if you get an early Rift Herald, so that was the reason they moved at around the 10-minute mark. But AD did not have to be quite so exposed in the bot lane and ended up dying for no advantage gained by MVP.
Lots of pings down around this bottom side of the map as Untara goes down. This is Fiora. Max is here to back up ADD. He tries to trade back a little bit, and the rest of the squad is over at this Cloud Drake, which they are taking away. Will get spotted out right at the end. Should be able to finish this one off. Might not even required.
Inferno for the second. Okay, an engaged coming.
This
Bot
Voyage
lane.
comes through. Yeah, they're trying to cut off ADD.
Q is
Does not have
down
the flash.
until now. Okay, it's up.
They make it out of here alive. Ntar starting to pinch forward, trying to cut him off as best as possible, but ADD likely just to go over the wall into the
Doesn't
Dragon
know if
Pit,
he's
but back.
engaging or running.
That's going to be explosive guys out from Blank. It's locked up in the Cosmic Binding, and he goes down. Max actually finds the kill, and ADD is still just giving Ntar the runaround.
5
Might be able to make
seconds.
it out of here with his life. Dash forward from Ntar, trying to finish him off. Tempered Fate comes through. Has the repulse to keep himself safe. Cataclysm comes down. Flagon drags out. Can he make it out, though? Bang. Trying to push forward, trying to get an angle, but it's just a bit too dangerous for him. Instead, they will be able to take down Beyond. Get a lot of damage in onto Max. Almost find 2-3 kills there for SKT, but ADD bought them so much time.
It was a really interesting team fight because ADD was caught between re-engaging with the flag and drag and using it defensively. Knew that if he used it in either direction, SKT could potentially win a team fight when he hard committed. But during all the commotion, MVP picked up the first kill. ADD lived for a long time, never went down till right at the end where he didn't die anyway. But in the meantime, Beyond, someone had to get caught. Bang could have looked for an aggressive flash at many different moments. Never used it, so just went for the safest possible play. Still has that summoner lead, and that could be big because we see MVP returning bot lane with no summoners on either of the supports on either side.
Yeah, and the turret very close to going down, so one more pick here for SKT. Good, a very well lead to that first brick. Coming through and extending that lead even further. Well, it's about 1,600 up for SK Telecom T1.
Rift Herald just dissipates with no one picking it up. The winner is SKT, I would say, in that regard. It feels like their comp can be undone by Rift Herald, more than that of MVP. So for now, 15 minutes in, the window to take it's closing, and SKT have a control ward on the top side and also complete vision of it.
Enchanted Crystalline Arrow available here for Bang if they want to try to go for an opening.
ADD had entered bot lane, would teleport up and not died. And they could have got a big advantage, but didn't happen, so no real point to dwell on that for now. The items starting to come in. Rod of Ages was at a very fast time by Faker, around the 11:50 or 12-minute mark. Has that stacking up very comfortably. Play the Ruin King done. One item power spikes, basically, on most of the champions on the Rift now.
Got the Rod of Ages the same time that he did in Game 2 versus Ever 8. So the timer is set. About 7 minutes to close out this match.
He doesn't have his boots yet. No boots on Cassiopeia.
So terrible.
Misplay. I do often think about boots on Cassiopeia, then remember each time. But she's got no shoe, and she's got no feet, so it makes sense.
I mean, she'd just be a snake in a boot.
It's true.
Talking about Toy Story earlier anyway. So.
Oh, Toy Story. That song, man. That Randy Newman song.
I was gonna say there were several throughout the years, but we all know which one you're talking about.
Yep. After some of MP's losses, they probably wanted to hear that song. I feel like you have too many friends in the world when you're on a losing streak. The fans are against you. Also, a lot of people, of course, making the obvious, well, they're representing us at Rift Rivals jeers about MVP. Beyond was spotted, trying to provide coverage. We could definitely see a big 5v5 fight around the very precarious bot lane outer turret.
Yeah, it just feels like that could be the tipping point here for SKT to really get the ball rolling.
You have so much of a vision advantage. Control ward on the top side, double control ward around the bot side. They're basically waiting for MVP to show their hand, and then they feel like they have the tonic, whatever the situation. CS lead starting to be opened up by Antara.
Oh, Shockwave comes through, but it's just going to whiff. Faker, no flash required this time around. Keeps himself safe. Just great juking from the Master.
He knows those ranges better than most. He was hitting some amazing max range shockwaves at MSI. Everyone seems to be shorting them here at LCK Summer, doing the best Faker impression, sometimes even Faker himself. No more action gain there. And the Rift Herald is, we're starting to get up to the last minute and a half of its livelihood.
Ward in the pit, they do see this happening. Blink's going to find out in a second when it expires.
It's not the spring season Rift Herald. There will be a fight over this. MVP will not want to give it up for free.
Junglers and mid laners are here. Ma
Bang can't be there. He's bot lane.
Yeah, Ma is roaming all the way up, and Nax is going to be quite nearby. 5,000 HP remaining on this Rift Herald. Faker throwing down the miasma. Do they just leash this?
Yeah, SKT will be smart to leash it, because MVP had to leave bot lane. They would have lost the turret eventually anyway. And basically, they're playing with everything, and it's releashed. It doesn't heal back up, so MVP do get Rift Herald. So we'll see where they choose to use it. Beyond has it. He's wearing it right now.
And everybody up towards this top side of the map might be the prime target.
Showed their hand early, did MVP, with those control wards. SKT knew what they wanted to do, but they do end up giving up an objective that we pinpointed as pretty important to launching MVP into this game.
Now, a lot of pressure around this bottom side of the map opened up for SK Telecom. Very good timing with them with the Infernal Drake spawning in 8 seconds. So maybe they pick that up as an answer, but you can see MVP kind of starting to pull their resources down to the bottom lane, so perhaps this is where they want to use the Rift Herald.
There's a lot of what-ifs here. Are they setting up on Infernal Drake? Are they going to use Infernal Drake in one lane to get a really big push with the Rift Herald? There's a lot of what-ifs with the new Rift Herald. They're just going to start Infernal Drake for now, so see how much they want to commit to it.
Dragging it out.
They could also just use, they could just have the jungler go mid lane, put down Rift Herald and fight for it, but it's not even going to be a fight. There's no contest coming through from SKT. Fiora went back, finished up Black Cleaver, shopping trip for Bang, and MVP do gain, a very consequential Drake in the Rift Herald. And in terms of neutrals, apart from the one turret, neutrals have gone to MVP.
Yeah. So, interesting decision making here from SKT. Not even an explosive cask or a barrel thrown over the wall for Blank to try to take that one away.
But hard to criticize, because you look at SKT's comp and you're like, they can team fight, but they're not built to team fight. It is a Fiora who, diving into the backline against Orianna Bard, probably not going to find a lot of value until she's at 3-4 items with the Guardian Angel. So just thinking better of it and focusing on what they do very well, which is a lane pressure game. Vision quite shallow at the moment for Untara, but he's still working towards his core item, so you can only really be picky about Fiora's split push vision when the 2-item power spike is online.
You can see just how much attention being drawn up towards that top side of the map. MVP, multiple members trying to stick around up in that vicinity to keep that turret safe.
Aggressive vision is so important for SKT here. They want to ward basically every camp so they know where Graves is on the map and can thus can expect what's happening with the Rift Herald. As the 1v1 is still a bit of dabbling, no real commit. You can see the Rift Herald percentage there. We don't have a progress bar on the trinkets yet on the scoreboard, so
Right, please.
that's definitely one of my few Riot Pleases, given they're now even going to have warded pings. So we're running out of Riot Pleases, so we'll throw that one in there, just so that Riot kind of solved League of Legends. But yeah, the Rift Herald's only about 33% now at most, so going to be forced hand very soon.
Keep pushing in, but wave clear aplenty from the side of MVP, so keeping that turret safe continuously. Don't want to give another one over to SK Telecom. Gold lead hasn't grown too much for them. 2.5, 2.6 thousand gold at the moment.
The funny thing about this game is this is a coma game. This is very controlled. SKT not taking any risks. It's kind of the antithesis of Game 1 in many ways. Can you list all the things that had happened in Game 1 by 22 minutes? We'd probably run out. I'd take a breath at some point. This has been very standard. Beyond, we'll just put it in the mid lane. No interrupt available for Faker. We've seen 2 interrupts so far on Rift Heralds. We saw one from Rakan against KT Rolster yesterday.
Bang and Wolf going to be making an appearance as they try to hold on to this turret. Charge comes through, knocks it down pretty low. They will be able to finish off this Rift Herald before the turret falls. So what does this get on your scoreboard, Papa Smithy?
It's about 3.5.
Yeah.
The lane choice was good. The timing was a bit too transparent because all the great wards had come in from SKT. They knew where Beyond was. So MVP were controlled in their Rift Herald usage as Faker's hit by the Tempered Fate.
That comes down this time. They have the Cosmic Binding into the Shockwave plus collateral damage. He will go down as MVP puts a second kill on the board.
I'll extend the window for the Rift Herald and give it a 7 out of 10. We'll include the back end of the Rift Herald play.
All right, well, they're looking for a bit more than that. Maybe that tier 2. Bang. They're taking away that outer turret at the top side of the map, and there's just so much damage from MVP. They will be finding this. They can all exit safely.
But you can see what SKT are doing. They were not going to caught Untara in that situation. Bang was already topside. It's a good job by MVP. Decisive when they needed to be decisive. We'll see if they lose an Untara for it. My first instinct is no.
There's not many minions here in ADDR. He has the wraparound coming through, and now Bang. Actually very far overextended. They do have to peel back. Or he has to peel back, rather.
MVP made the decisive call when they needed to, got an inner turret and an outer turret, so overall passage of play after the Rift Herald was summoned worked for them. They could die with flash up that time as Antara just goes back in.
Once that blast cone taken out, so nobody has a fast avenue of approach via the river.
You can see the rest of MVP on wards in the enemy jungle, so another one of those games where wards in the enemy jungle has bought SKT a lot. Kind of a predictable thing to say, but we kind of saw MVP miss out on very clear things that you often have in your checklist in League of Legends as well. Let's see how the 1v2 is looking at 1.5 items.
Yeah, Close-Up comes down. A bit too late there on that Cosmic Fighting from Max, trying to get the lock up. And SKT start playing around the Baron. Vision down, but not really interested in taking it yet. And Tara very much losing out on these exchanges.
Taking a lot of free damage.
And both do have flashes. Going to go ahead and throw down the Grand Challenge. It's a bit of damage in. Dashes away barely.
No mana from Antara.
Out of range of that Flag and Dragon. Now Max arriving. Almost has the Tempered Fate.
Waiting for EQ cooldown after he uses the flash.
Flashes in, throws down the Ignite. Tempered Fate is available, but Antara's not going to get clipped by it. So actually, big overcommitment there from Max. Just throws out everything that he had and doesn't come up.
So AD, because he hadn't seen Riposte, didn't want to trade flashes and then just EQ afterwards. Didn't seem to have the confidence, and Max and ADD critically did not have the same duo synergy that we saw from ADD and beyond to really open up that lead for MVP in Game 1. Complete disconnect from Max and ADD. Needed to be communicating better about what the goal was, because Max was going in. He used everything, including his flash and ignite, and ADD was having none of it. So, bit of a worrying sign there for MVP.
So Antara barely escaping. You can see just how one-sided those exchanges still are in favor of ADD. We wait for more items to come through for that Fiora.
Close to Ravenous Hydra, so will not be the tankier route from Antara this time. Thinks he wants to go 3 items with a Guardian Angel and be fine. 3-item power spike, very, very powerful with the Guardian Angel. That's almost certainly going to be the next item.
Take another look at that as they just keep duking it out.
He's got mana this time.
He's getting those weaknesses as well. Flag and Drag will take ADD out to safety. Doesn't have to use the flash, but just like that, things are going pretty well for Antara. And now he's got pressure on this inner turret.
Let's have the Visions go for the solo kill.
Oh, but this might have just been the bait here from ADD. Cataclysm comes down. Antara locked in, will fall. Very nicely done. ADD having faith in his team to collapse, but SKT on the other side of the map, Wolf and Faker, start to try to duo this out. Blank now arriving, can take up the Baron, but it will peel back.
It seemed like he got the call to go for an all-in while his team tried to sneak Baron, as he isn't engaged.
That's the body slam, but the explosive cask is just going to do nothing but knock them away, so no
Beyond
isolation on Maha. Yeah, they do get the flash away.
Looked like a double, but it wasn't necessary for Maha, was able to net out. Beyond did have to flash, so still something. It looked comical from Antara, but he wanted to make a play and have his team take Baron. Now Baron's once again on the menu, but this time it's MVP. We've seen this before. This time it's Blank, though.
I mean, it's 10 seconds on the clock there, and trying to just have the TP available, but the Baron's going to go low. Tempered Fate comes out, locks up Blank, which means Beyond can get it. They take the magical journey out to safety, and they find some kills on the escape. Looking for Max. Cosmic Fighting comes in, not going to find a stun. He will go down. But it seems like SKT might not get more than that. Invisible Voyage comes through, and immediately they just rip right through Bang. Wolf going low, ace in the hole. He's going to have to flash to the other side of Blank to keep himself alive. It's a bit too risky. They will find a tier 1 turret in the mid lane. But Baron over to MVP, and they're keeping this game close.
Yeah, super interesting passage of play. I actually thought that was a really good force on the Baron from MVP. And even though it was so obvious and transparent, SKT had full information. The reason you do that is that SKT already showed their hand with a turret dive while Antara had teleport up. They knew they would be to split across the map. ADD wouldn't be able to stand up to the Fiora. So the thought process was, let's make it happen here. Trust on the ultimate from Max, and this is the only spot we're going to get Baron realistically in the next 15 minutes. They get the Baron, they largely get out. Only their support is given up. So when it comes to Baron forces, specifically around a team like MVP who have mismanaged Baron before, this is great, and the Tempered Fate is beautiful.
Yeah, really solid by Max. I've been finding Bang and Blank getting rid of that Smite, getting rid of that damage from the Ashe.
As far as I understand, the interaction with Smite is that you can always use it unless you're suppressed. So the fact that he was altered out of range of Smite was probably actually pretty important. I'm not 100% clear how Stasis interacts there, but my first thought is a Smite would still have been available since it's not a suppression effect. Regardless, well done by Max, out of range.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
In that situation.
I feel like you can't.
You can Smite under anything other than suppress.
Okay.
Is how it's always been explained. The stasis effect is kind of an interesting one. I'm sure someone can correct us, please do. But regardless, he was in stasis out of the AoE anyway, so Smite wasn't in range.
Well, nicely played by MVP all the same. By themselves, just about tied in gold versus SKT.
But now they have to use that Baron. They have to, just like in game 1 where they had to use their early lead, they need to force SKT to group as 5, which with teleport down is perhaps more the percentage play for SKT, but this is where MVP need to be a death ball. They need to make something happen. They have Jarvan with flash up and Orianna sitting at 3 items. It's time to go. You know, we're absolutely jamming the foot on the accelerator. They just play side lanes, and AD, crucially, doesn't even have the Baron bluff himself. They will not get anywhere near the big advantage they needed to justify how much they put into taking the Baron.
For now, getting those waves prepped in the bottom and top sides of the map, and sweeping through the jungle of SKT on this lower half. So maybe looking for a pick if Max can set something up. Does have the Tempered Fate ready to go yet again.
Flash down on the Gragas, also down on Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench would be a great target to pick up first.
Playing as a solid unit here as MVP, not looking to get picked off one at a time. As I say that beyond.
Nice from the Rift Arrow, but it's still away the red.
It does take this out.
Waiting for the minion wave to be brought up. So far, so good from ADD.
Baron minion starting to come through. He has been thrown down by Faker, but you can see SKT just have to concede this turret.
They have their other minion waves in good spots, so they're not getting pressured across the map. Next Drake is a good spawn on the side of MVP, but still a whiles away. Having pressure in this jungle will largely be cleared out now that the duo clearing mission of Blank and Wolf can happen. And there's no reason for MVP to be here, because why would SKT push out there?
Yeah.
There's no objective.
Dragons, not for a while, but they're actually just going to be sticking around.
Time.
They're looking for Faker. Advantage failed, getting pop flashes away. Cataclysm coming down now, locked into the pit. They knock him back in with the shockwave. Wolf unable to get close enough for the Devour, and now MVP with that Cassiopeia taken out.
Yeah, the first brush was too conservative, the second one much better, and they want more here to MVP.
They're going to be looking for the inhib. That's going to be explosive pass coming through as Beyond gets knocked in. Wolf going low, pops a great health shield, but there's just not much left of him. He will go down. Collateral damage from Beyond takes him out. Now the inhibitor line is going to be broken by MVP. Untara not even able to continue the split push bang, nor himself in the mid lane. Will be recalling. Untara will continue as he cancels that one out, seeing MVP retreat. But an inner turret, all that SKT can get picked up after losing 2 members of their squad and an inhibitor.
Yeah, really nicely decisive play coming through from MVP, sort of thing we didn't see in game 1. Caused them to lag behind. All SKT can do is pick up an inner turret, which is not in any way going to be of similar value. Stuff from MVP. They drafted to engage. They engaged when they needed to. Faker moved up too fast. Maha cute. Opening up with the ultimate there. Spell shield was down. Engage was pretty straightforward. Now MVP once again have the lead in this game. Their comp is also more straightforward to pull off than SKT's. So we'll see if they can find a way to come back in this series. Because again, it'll be a first game win over SKT in their history since forming back in Challenger. Not including the spiritual successor days of Samsung, when they were the MVP organization way back when. Gets a bit awkward there, given that Samsung is the old MVP and MVP is just the new MVP.
No correlation.
Even then, it's kind of tenuous for the Samsung team, right? Because they lost all their players. Just a headache. I still have trouble calling the Rocks Tigers the Rocks Tigers.
Yeah. That one feels bad.
They're playing our second series, hooray! Wait, are they?
No. It's even better. It's
Tomorrow.
BBQ.
Tomorrow, though. They're playing.
Yeah, we get BBQ today.
Sorry, I forgot. It's Everate BBQ. All right, MVP pushing up.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to get done with this boring game so we can get to that exciting series.
Well, we might have excitement soon. Even have 3 games if MVP can continue to play smart. This time Tempered Fate's well disengaged by SKT.
Yeah, not going to find anything off that, but the turret still will be taken down. MVP just able to brute force it.
They ping out Untara on a ward. Infernal Drake spawning in 10 seconds, but Baron and Infernal both spawning around similar times. MVP, I want both. They're not even going to be willing to give up an Infernal Drake here to SKT. Looks like they might start with the easy objective, even though a lot of their vision is placed around Baron.
I mean, they're just tiptoeing back and forth in the mid lane, saying, like, okay, as soon as you go over to that dragon, we're starting up the Baron, and you know how quickly we're going to be able to take this.
Feels like SKT is trying to come down a corridor, and MVP is saying, are you going to go left, are you going to go right? Which way are you going? Well, they decided to go right, this time with the Baron started.
The Ash Arrow comes through, does lock up ADD and Antara, getting ready to TP in.
2,000.
Going low, Blank, can he make it into the pit this time? Body slams in, the spike comes through way too early, gets taken by Beyond in the end. One kill picked up as Ian does go down. They pursue forward. Antara gonna get locked up by the Cosmic Binding. Go over the wall. Still chasing in, they're trying to take down Maha. Will be dashing forward onto the Ash. And they should be able to finish him off. Now the base, they're going to have to go back because that is under siege. The Super Creeps pushing into the bottom side, looking to take out that first Nexus turret.
Yeah, so Baron buff is claimed by MVP. Only 2 people die, and as you mentioned, Achilleo, it's a crucial factor that someone has to defend. So they can't really take multiple objectives against the run. For now, they're actually just giving up the base. The minions are leashing between 2, and Tara, only one to return, doesn't have teleport up. Bang may get SKT and Infernal Drake.
He's looking for
even
him.
then, Beyond's here.
He's going to get spotted. Yeah, Beyond is nearby. Blank should be able to take him away. There we go. We see the smite come down as they start chasing in. Beyond goes low, but there's no Abyssal Voyage there from Wolf to pursue any further. Smite up. Quick draws over the wall to keep himself safe.
We should get a
Still
replay.
3 buffs of that Baron.
We should get a replay of the Baron. The smite looked hilariously early, but I don't think that was just an epic fail. I think it was one of those mind games. We've seen so many interesting Baron takes where teams will just wait and then instant DPS it down, or DPS it down at a random number, not just at a 2,000, for example. So while it's easy just to say lol Blank, and maybe he deserves that, he just thought that was his best chance to pick up a smite and ended up being super off, Beyond picking it up instead. Play continues to be very MVP focused here, as given all the advantages they've been able to get grouped, SKT's plan of split push with Antara has been thwarted for the last 15 minutes or so, where it's been a relevant game plan.
Yeah. It's not been going well. Fortunately for SKT, don't lose those Nexus turrets, but they're still dangerously low, so Antara's going to have to take loot to that bottom side of the map for a while.
Doesn't have teleport still, so it still is 4v5 at best for SKT.
Seems like he's going to go ahead and start cutting away from the minion wave. We'll be pushing in, and actually it's going to be the inhibitor respawning now at the bottom side of the map, but another one may be taken up top as that turret just goes down very swiftly, and MVP fiercely pushing forward. ADD.
Yours in the back line.
That flag in Antara,
yeah. Fight time.
Shooting in from the back. Once the cast comes through, it's just knocking away the Graves and that Bard.
When the explosive cast is down, and also the Ash Arrow is down, suddenly things get a lot more complicated for SKT.
Antara still cheating around the side. Just trying to keep MVP's focus on him.
Guardian Angels on MVP. One is super tanky to how big this Fiora is, but oh, it's already, sorry, the Nexus, sorry, the inhibitor. Nexus turret. Inhibitor is very, very low. It will be taken out.
Get it in the end, and MVP, yeah, they're just going to be happy with that one.
No overstay from MVP. We'll have to set up to find a way to take down the bot lane inhibitor, which is respawned. Faker walks up. He's been caught a couple of times.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here, even with the Banshee's Veil. It's very easy to get popped, just like that. Standard comes down. He is vulnerable. And now MVP looking to complete this one.
I mean, every time Antara shows, they know he doesn't have teleport, so they're so safe to walk up. On the backside of the fight now. Engage tool not up yet from Ash. Gragas ult is up.
Still needs to be perfectly placed here from Blank.
MVP smell and engage. Still hasn't started.
They're going to pop in ADD. Can he make it over to the portal? Yes, he can. Takes a magical journey out. Dar will be jumping in on the Max.
And he pick his golden, apparently.
Down the redemption. That's going to be the Tempered Fate coming
oh,
through.
Misses from Orianna.
Yeah. Will still die. Ash Arrow.
How much does Faker want this? He wants to launch!
Flashes in. That's going to be redemption coming down. Maha picked off right off the bat. ADD flag and dragging out of the Cataclysm, keeping multiple members locked in, but still in such a bad spot. Takes the blast cone over the wall, but it seems like it's just a matter of time for SKT to be able to take him out.
He's going to go bot lane. He wants to try and run towards the inhibitor. That's where he wants to attack. Clearly, he's not going to be able to pick that one up. Will be chased down from Antara. Big engage from SKT. Faker happy to flash in on the Cassios. This is hilarious.
ADD is just so very annoying on the J4 at the moment. Blank will be coming nearby and just try to pinch him in.
He's
but
wasting a lot of time.
I mean, this could be time that SKT is split pushing, but they have to be worried. If they leave him alone, he'll be taking that inhibitor.
And because the Baron or the Drake is not spawning soon, the fact that he's dead for 50 more seconds while there's 4 people up isn't even relevant. It's not going to force a 5v4. When he respawns, he has teleport up. So I think it was actually expertly done and had to be responded to by Antara.
And look how annoying that it's going to be in the mid lane. Like, Bang can't even get a push going.
SKT are not the sort of team to let 3 inhibitors die in front of their faces without engaging. So they go for this big play. Any pick is golden, and the hula hoop on the ultimate here, because of the riposte coming through, means Orianna ult is down, Abyssal Voyage is spawned, and Faker says, yep, I'm a man, flashes in for the miasma, and it turns in as huge damage at this point, obviously. They end up getting 4 for 0 over the course of this, as ADD lives for another 1 minute of game time, which is a long time, 60 seconds. But they don't get any more, and all SKT can say is, well, you know, we know that some tools will be down from MVP, but it's not that many. You think of that fight and you're like, well, they must have got flashes. If you look, Orianna has flash, Caitlyn has flash. The next ult or initiation from SKT needs to be on point because of where MVP is in the game. And there still is plenty of tools for MVP to try and turn around.
I mean, even ADD has his flash available, so was not required to keep himself alive for that long. So very impressively done. SKT keep a lead, but at this point, it just really doesn't matter for much. Fortunately, Antara does have the TP, so can be a threat in the side lanes. Flag and Drag comes through, Tempered Fate thrown down. They find Faker. Can he get out of here alive? No flash available. The Devourer is there from Wolf as Blank goes forward. Gets the explosive cast coming down, and now Antara joining in the fray. Flag and Drag through with the Cataclysm thrown in. Just locking up Wolf and Blank for as long as possible. No one going to die. Flashes used out there, summoner spells used on both sides.
They have to back away also. SKT have to deal with super minions pushing in bot lane.
They got the TP.
It's what they got, which is still something to speak of. They only had to use the flash on Ian. So Orianna certainly will be a little bit more tenuous in the next fight, but you can see big objectives spawning in 20 seconds. SKT need to play pretty specifically now, because otherwise Baron will be a free objective for MVP with Antara still, what, 4 minutes away from having his teleport in bot lane. And Beyond understands. They're just walking straight over. MVP want to brute force this one. Cataclysm may be down. Orianna ult down for a couple more seconds, but they want it instantly.
Yeah, this one's getting down to the wire. The trap line being thrown up here.
What will
by
SKT
Maha,
do?
trying to lock them out. Blank already nearby. Tries to go forward. Lockdown on the Max. Needs the steal if he can get it. Throws out the explosive cast. Smites yet again too early. And Beyond comes up with the Baron yet again. And they find the exit kills. Fine Gaze comes through. They do lock in 2. Actually, yeah, the Poison able to take down ADD and out with Dark, cutting them off as Blank goes forward. Body slam out. Tempered Fate locking up he and Beyond. And this could be the ace. This could be it for SKT. They find Maha. They have the rest of the squad so close nearby. They're
And they
able
even
to
have
take him
Faker
out.
pushing through mid lane while they clean up the kills. Nowhere for the Bard to go. Can't escort any minions in. I don't know if they can end the game here, SKT, but they're going to try.
It's going to be damn close as Bang joins in. Faker already moving up the way, but look at the super creeps back in the base. Nobody is going to answer this. And Max is just charging down the top lane. Wolf will be hot on his heels.
He's just trying to create a commotion. He has a Baron buff, remember? But I don't think it's going to be enough. They're going to try and force it. Max force back.
He's buying some time. Wolf trying to delay this as much as possible, just not able to get it. But even then, Max does not have the Tempered Fate to keep these turrets alive. SKT, I think they might have finally done it. So long still on these death timers. So close. MVP. That's the game that they can feel damn good about at the end of the day.
So close, but it's still not going to lead to a win there, Achilleos. SKT, they're not necessarily celebrating. Very interesting end to the game where it looked like MVP had all the options. They made the play around Baron, super cleaned up, and Tara had the items to kind of take over the game. And end result's going to be SKT 2-0. Even if you think about the game, you're like, wow, really good early game in game 1 for MVP. Mid-game to late game in game 2, pretty good by MVP as well. But no points and another continuation in the loss streak for MVP.
Now, if only we could just connect the dots between the two, take the start of game 1, the mid to late from game 2, put them together, and then have a victory.
They've had series where they've had neither of those bright spots. So there were bright spots here. This is better for MVP, but you're going to have to probably tell the players that tomorrow after they've calmed down, because they would have felt close in 2 games and yet come away with not even an improvement in their game win-loss score.
Yep. Well, on the other side of the coin, Blank remains undefeated for SK
11-0,
Telecom.
baby.
So, yeah, well into the double digits now. And honestly, he was probably one of the poorest performing members on SKT in that second game.
Will he reach 18? The length of an LCS season in best-of-1 days? It's possible. It's getting closer.
That'd be pretty damn impressive.
The Smites this game, the first one I gave him the benefit of that. Doing it a second time, I'm like, well, I don't know, blank, so I don't know if we'll get a chance to hear about that one, but that was a bit curious, super early on the Smites, both attempts here. But neither of them ended up being the biggest factor. The first one got MVP, a big lead, don't get me wrong. I mean, they took 2 inhibitors against SKT, which, apart from Samsung, not many teams have been able to do.
Yeah.
But after that, the second one just ended up being a sight for the fight that SKT was looking for.
I mean, Faker just going ham, flashing over the wall, petrifying gaze thrown down. Was solid stuff, and then just able to complete the, almost complete the ace off the backside of that last Baron.
And then you wonder if Coma learned anything from this game, because this is the first time they controlled a variable. They ran both teams after wins. There was no extra, variables here. One game was Antara and Blank, the other game was Huni and Peanut, and you're like, well, putting in Antara and Blank helped the early game, for sure, much cleaner. But then the mid game fell apart in a way that got turned around in game 1, so even the choice of lineup really did seem to change things up. I agree with you that Blank had probably his weakest performance of the year. Really interesting game to think about, just given how many different things happened over the course of 2 games.
Well, there's only a few more changes to do. Now we just need to see Huni and Blank play, then we'll see Antara and Peanut play together, and then if still nothing is working, then Faker's the problem. We play Sky in the mid.
Yeah, we'll
so
get there.
That's exactly what happens. But lots of damage done by the Ashe, and Antara in the split push, still just consistently chunking away at that J4, almost tops the charts. But at the end of the day, it was the big plays from Faker that really helped pull it all together. Which is he going to get an MVP? No, it's actually going to be Antara out of the top lane.
Felt like he was playing PvE for a lot of this game. Wasn't really involved in a lot of pressure until the final couple of fights where he had 3, 4 items and really started to turn it around. Randuin's and Guardian Angel to join his initial salvo of the Black Cleaver and also the Ravenous Hydra. And the riposte was super on point from Antara. That was perhaps the biggest pick.
Yeah, that was. Those were excellent from him throughout the duration.
But I can't
sure
tell.
We'll see a highlight reel of riposte from him.
But I mean, getting Fiora to do things in the mid game is really where it vindicates the Fiora being a pick, and it seemed to really hurt SKT more than it helped it. They went on to win, sure, but if you ask me, do SKT look like a team that really wants to play Fiora comps, I still wouldn't have a great answer for you after this game. Need more data points. Antara on his own, very clean mechanics. In general, his team fighting on Fiora, which is not a trivial thing, was very good as well. But I think jury's still out on the Fiora pick for SKT.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, MVP were playing phenomenally around it, drawing out the TP. There was not that side lane
that
pressure.
last fight, there was no teleport on the Fiora, remember? She had to book her way over at the Baron Force. So they did a lot of things right around the Fiora, and then Fiora did Fiora things. This was probably the big moment to me, where Faker flashed in with Miasma as the Abyssal Voyage came in. I thought the Abyssal Voyages from Wolf were very good this game.
Except for maybe the one that delivered Bang to his death.
You know,
that was probably the only one.
You
that
use globals with a mate a couple of times. One of them's bound to go badly.
It's just it's just an inevitability.
I'm looking forward to the cleanup after the series where both Blank and Peanut are pleading their case to play for the next game. And Peanut came out, well, my smite was good. And what's Blank going to say, right?
That's true. If nothing else, Peanut can come up with the steals.
Fun series. Really interesting. Bizarre at points. MVP looking better than you would ever hope for. But not even picking up a game win. So, yeah, really interesting stuff.
Oh, well. Well, we're going to go ahead, throw over to Joel for a translation for our MVP interview. It's Faker and Antara this time around, so Joel, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translations, and we are here with SK Telecom picking up a 2-0 victory against. And we have our interview with Faker and Antara with the interview, and we haven't seen Faker in the interview for a long time, but we are here with him once again. Yeah, it's been such a long time that I've been here, but it feels good that I've been here. And, you know, I'm hoping to get a few more of these MVPs.
굉장히 더 오래되신 분이에요. 오랜만에
And someone who hasn't been for a longer time is Untara.
이렇게 와서 기분 좋고
Yeah, it feels good to get the MVP,
게임 이겨서 기분 좋아요.
and first of all, getting the win itself is a good feeling for us.
사실 그 오랜만에 출전을 해서 승리를 가져가지만 그때 MVP를 이제 못 받아서
And of course, Untara, not having played for a long time, you played the last game, didn't get the MVP, but you got the MVP this time around.
인터뷰가 좀 제가 인터뷰를 잘 좀 못해가지고
And the thing with me getting the interview is, I really don't like doing the interview, so that kind of fear neglected me from getting the MVP last time.
오늘 또 경기 얘기를 좀 해볼게요.
Let's talk about the game.
조합에 대한 이야기를 좀
And the first game is a very unique composition that you guys showed off today.
준비된 조합인가요?
Was that a prepared composition that you guys put out today?
여러 번 하기도 했고
Yeah, we played the composition a few times.
저희 픽을 보고 고려해서 뽑은 픽이었던 것 같습니다.
And I think, just trying to go with the flow, we kind of ended up with those picks.
특히 훈이 선수를 집중적으로 공략하면서
And it seems like the early game was was a struggle for you guys because Huni was being camped in top lane and he really had a struggling time to, pull back through.
뱀이 좀 많이 죽으면 힘들어서 라인전이
Yeah, usually when the snake dies in the early game, it's a struggle for the team, but
좀 밀리더라도 일단 미드랑 바텀
I think we were trying to just focus on getting the mid and bot lane, get back on track, and that was our strategy.
훈이 선수가 많이 죽고 이런 상황 속에서 훈이 선수의 뭐 멘탈이라든지 뭐 이런 거는 좀 괜찮아요.
And of course, was Huni's mentality okay throughout the game? No, his mentality was shattered in the early game.
그래가지고
He was telling us that, he didn't want to play anymore.
그래서 이제 경기가 이제 진행이 되면서 후반으로 갈수록 이제 분위기가 달라지면서
So of course, getting to the mid to the late game, you guys really pulled back through with some of your key plays.
어떠셨어요? 그거 하면서
How was that, getting a few kills to start that comeback?
그렇습니까?
저는 후반 가면서 그냥 오늘 MVP 받겠구나.
As soon as I was reaching the late game, all I was thinking was that I was going to get the MVP today, and that was the most important thing to me today. We have a video clip to show some of that play.
과감하게 치고 들어가요.
Very aggressive initiate towards the Orianna.
탐패치가 와서 아슬아슬하게 잡았던 것 같아요.
Yeah, I think due to the time catch, we barely caught the Orianna here. Do you guys call out the plays when you know that you got the kill?
솔직히 잡았다고 생각하긴 했는데 실제로 말하진 않았어요.
I knew that I was gonna get the kill, but I didn't say it out loud.
거의 그냥 100% 잡았다고 생각했어요.
I was pretty 100% sure that I was gonna get the kill.
다 이제 예상을 해서
탐패치가 왔으니까 한 거죠.
Yeah, because Tom Kench came over, that's the reason I was able to get the kill.
1세트에서 이렇게 승리를 하고 2세트에서 이제 교체 출전이 있었어요.
And getting the first win in the series and moving on to the second game, you guys had the substitutes on both sides.
이길 것 같을 때 이제 코치님께서 얘기해 주셨어요.
I think ever since we got the Baron on the first game, Coach told us to come. Coach told both of us to come in.
그래서 아마 피오라도 좀 그때부터 어느 정도 염두를 했죠.
And of course, as soon as I got the call, did you think of the Fiora right away?
피오라가 저는 좋다 생각해가지고.
No, I think it was more due to composition. During the pick ban phase, where we had to look at the opposition's composition, and we thought that Fiora would have been a good pick there.
하긴 했습니다만은 그게 쉽지 않은 경기였어요.
And second game was a tough game for you guys as well, and especially in the mid game when you guys turned over the advantage.
그냥 스크림 하는 것처럼
Even though we were behind, we thought of this as just another scrim, and we just kind of took it easy and just hope for our plays to come through.
할 말은 없고 그냥
페이커 선수가 볼 때 운타라 선수 강점은 뭔 것 같아요?
What is the Untara's strength, Faker, that you can think of?
타라는 일단 탑에서 아무리 힘들어도 아무 말은 안 해요.
And Untara's strength is that, no matter how hard of a time he is having, he doesn't complain, and that's the biggest strength of him.
상대 정글로 와서 포탑 같이 깨면
So even if top laner and the jungler goes to destroy his turret, he just says, our turret's broken, but he doesn't say anything after that.
감정을 좀 숨기고 포커페이스처럼 그런 것들이 있다. 그것이 강점이다.
그런데 그 포커페이스가 2세트 때 무너졌던 장면이 있어요.
And I'm sure that poker face that you're talking about with that having no emotion was shattered at one point in the game.
그거 끊고 싶었거든요, 너무 집을.
Yeah, I really wanted to, break the base there, but I thought I really had it.
모르고 들어가신 거죠, 당연히.
당연히 몰랐죠, 저.
당하고 나서는 그때도 뭐 별다른 리액션 없었습니까?
And of course, was there anything after the reaction?
그러니까 우리 바론 먹을 수 있나 그 정도.
All we thought was that we could have gotten the Baron, but it was unfortunate that we couldn't.
지금 바로 먹을 수 있어야 되는 거 아니야? 약간 이런 느낌으로 했지만 아쉽게도 그러지 못했다.
그래서 또 오늘 뱀픽에서 눈에 띄었던 게 SKT가 탐켄치를
And the ban pick phase is a very interesting part for SK Telecom that we saw you guys prioritizing the Tom Kench. But how does that contribute to your team?
저희가 1경기 때 탐켄치가 워낙 잘 나왔다고 생각해서 이 경기
We thought that getting the Tom Kench at game 1 was a
요즘에 좀 잘
crucial thing for us, and for a team like us that, you know, Tom Kench and having a good player control the Tom Kench is a big contribution to our team.
그래서 또 2세트 승리를 가져가셨는데 최근에 또 이 스킨에 대한 이야기를 뭐 지난
And of course, we had a discussion about the skins of SK Telecom
새로 나왔잖아요.
with the new set of skins coming out.
만족은 하시나요?
Are you satisfied with the skin?
스킨 퀄리티가 전체적으로 굉장히 멋있어요.
I think the skin quality, just the overall quality, has risen this year, and I'm very happy with the quality of it.
그때 찍으면서 이렇게 찍으면 굉장히 멋있겠다 하고.
And of course, with the recalling scene that, you know, we kind of discussed over, you know, how we kind of wanted it, and I like how they implemented that to the actual skin.
이번에 또 우승해서 또 한번
Of course, you know, these guys can win it again and get another skin for this year.
선수
뭐 제가
Isn't that right, Faker?
멋있게 요청했으면 됐던 거라서.
You know, I think it was a situation where I could have just asked for a better skin, so I don't have any greed over that.
그렇습니다. 자 어쨌든 뭐 개막전 이제 첫 번째 매치에서 1패 이후에 지금 오늘
So ever since the first loss in the opening day, you guys are consistently winning and not letting the match down.
또 평일임에도 불구하고 많은 팬분들이
And you have a lot of fans here watching from the stage, even though it's the weekday, but you like to say anything to fans.
경기력이 저는 오늘 경기력도 썩 좋진 않았다고 생각해요.
I feel like, you know, my personal gameplays and my performance wasn't been up to par lately, and
그런 과정에서
I feel like, you know, the fan support that I get, you know, along with the team, it really helps us a lot, and it really allows us to perform better, so we thank you all.
좀 마지막으로 팬분들께
And of course, Untara, you can say a word to your fans as well.
나올 때마다 좋은 경기력 보여드릴 테니까
You know, every time I do make an appearance, I'll try to put on my best performance, so keep an eye out on me. Thank you very much. So that seems to be the end of the interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. So, oh, nice. They let Untara say something to the fans as well. Not just Faker hogging it all up.
Played well in game 2, even if I don't know if I fully agree with MVP. SKT 2-0 winners over the awkwardly named MVP for this particular transition. Second game a bit more of a slog. Funny how MVP looks strong at different points over 2 games, but maybe they, as you could say, they can find the way to jam it together. You know, put together 2 great foods, and sometimes you can make an even better single package, and that's what MVP is going to hope to do, because right now, not much to show for on the lap.
No, definitely not. MVP falling down even further, now below the Rocks Tigers with a -7 scoreline. Even worse than the BBQ Olivers.